Hi everyone, I am Lisa. I am a Ryker newbie. I am so excited to share with you my first ride out in the country without any incidents. Woohoo! Please come along with me as I share how I conquered those curves. Hi everyone. If you've been following me, you'll know that my first couple of rides out in the country were exciting but also fraught with anxiety because I had a couple of things not go very smoothly. On the first ride, I was really nervous taking big curves in the road, so I was going way too slow. So slow that my hubby thought it was unsafe. So we ended up having him right in front of me, and I followed him as he take those curves so that I can get a better sense of when I should slow down as I enter the curve and how I should speed through the curve to maintain a good speed. So today I practiced that. On one of my previous rides, I also had a couple of turn fails, meaning that I had meant to turn into a street and I felt like I lost control of the bike and panicked and didn't turn where I wanted to go. So we figured out that it was probably my death grip that contributed to that. So in today's ride, I am also practicing relaxing my throttle wrist. That is isolating my throttle wrist so that I don't inadvertently speed up the throttle when I don't intend to. So those are the couple of things I'm practicing today. Let's go. First, about that throttle wrist and isolating it and relaxing it. Well, it's easier said than done. I find myself really wanting to grab hard onto the handles, especially on bumpy road like this. Now, the road condition doesn't look too awful, but there's bumps and dips in the road, and I just feel like I'm getting thrown around on the Ryker. So I ended up still grabbing really hard with my left hand, but at least I paid really good attention to my throttle wrist and made it go soft. So that's progress. I'm also controlling my curves with my left hand more. So when I need to curve right or turn right, I'm pushing with my left hand. And when I'm turning left, then I'm pulling with my left hand. So that helps. I also got a lot of good advice from other riders who said that you can also use your legs to help you turn. So I also tried that out today, and indeed it does help. So, well, for me, when I'm turning right or curving right, I'm finding that if I tense up my left leg and kind of push out on the peg with my left leg, that helps me make that right turn. I'm not really gaining it so much with left turn and pushing with my right leg because when I'm turning left and I'm pushing with my right leg, well, that just doesn't feel too comfortable for me yet because I want my foot in a good position to reach the brake. So that I need to practice a little bit more. Now, about those curves, I remember my riding instructor told us that you want to slow down as you enter the curve. So when you're inside the curve, you don't want to brake, you don't want to step on your brakes. Instead, you want to either maintain throttle or throttle up, speed up slightly as you move through the curve. So that's different than how I drive. I don't know how anyone else drives, but I often, when I'm driving a regular car, I'm often hitting the brake as I'm inside the curve. And the instructor said, no, don't do that. But I think he's coming at it more from a two-wheeler's perspective. Because the reason he said you don't want to brake during a curve is because your tires can only either grab to the ground or brake. It cannot do both at the same time. So during a curve, you really want that traction control. You want your tire to grab the ground, right? So that means that the tires cannot be braking at the same time. If you're braking at the time when you're trying to have good traction, well, the tire is only going to do one of those things, and you might not be able to control which one it does, and that's how two-wheeler motorcycles get into trouble the most, taking a curve. I don't think that applies as much to us three-wheelers because we won't tip over like a two-wheeler, but still, it's probably still good driving or good riding practice. So I really want to practice that today. Again, I'm kind of telling myself, okay, you need to brake or you need to slow down as you enter a curve. So once that curve starts, you're at a comfortable speed to either maintain throttle or speed up slightly through the curve. So again, I'm going to slow down as I enter the curve, and then once I'm inside the curve, I'm going to maintain throttle or speed up through the curve. Something else that the instructor told us I really need to practice working on is don't look directly in front of you. Instead, look as far as you can through the curve. Look as far as you can through the curve, ideally to the end of the curve. Kind of bring your line of sight as far ahead as possible, and that will help you with a smooth transition through the curve. So that's also something I'm going to work on today. I'm going to remember to try to look far ahead through the curve, and hopefully that'll help me out a little bit. So what I've done today is I'm aiming my camera at my speedometer so that for other novel riders who also find this a little bit challenging, you can hopefully get a sense of how far am I from the curve when I start slowing down, and at what point do I start speeding up again. Because that's something that I felt like following my hubby on a previous ride helped me a lot, kind of getting a sense of when I should slow down. Because previously I feel like I slowed down way too early, and that was not necessary. That just kind of, it's just not needed. Okay, so I feel like after today's ride I have a better sense of that, so I want to share that with you all. Okay, so we have some curves in the road coming up. Try to look through my windshield and think when you would start slowing down, and compare your judgment to what I have on my speedometer to see what I did. I'm not saying that I did this the best way, but at least as a newbie, the speed at which I took these curves felt well controlled and not too fast and not too slow. So just something to consider if you need practice with that. Something I've noticed also is that the Department of Transportation is doing a really good job of posting speed limits to take curves, because I'm finding that whenever they tell me that a curve should be at 40 miles per hour or whatever it is, they tend to be pretty spot on. So I appreciate these speed limit recommendations so much. So we've been going about 45 miles an hour, and there's a curve coming up that you see I'm slowing down a little bit, and I'm looking through the curve, and at this point I'm feeling comfortable enough that I'm starting to speed up. So I haven't completed the curve before I sped up. Here's another one. I'm slowing down a little bit now. Now I can see through the curve. Now I feel okay to speed up. There's another one. I'm slowing down a little bit here. I can see through the curve well, speed up. So I felt like if I remember to look way ahead to where the curve ends or where the road ends, that gave me information about how comfortably I can take a curve. So that was helpful for me. Again, I think the best way to practice is if you have a more experienced riding buddy who can ride in front of you as you take those curves to help you learn. what's the speed to take those curves at, I found that invaluable. So that after a practice like that with my hubby, I felt a lot more confident on today's ride. He still rides a bit faster than me, which is fine. I'm going to take things at my speed, where I'm comfortable, but I do want to work on taking those curves at appropriate speeds, so that I am not a hindrance in the road to other drivers, right? And I'm also safe from other people trying to tailgate me, because that will not feel good. That will not be pleasant. So I have a number of these curves coming up. I am going to shut up, and if you need practice with this, try to look through my windshield to anticipate when would you start slowing down. Am I slowing down at that time? If I'm not, then when am I slowing down and when am I speeding up? One thing that I also learned that was a little bit surprising to me is that I don't need to wait until a curve is finished to start speeding up. I'm finding actually in large curves like this where it's not very sharp, I can actually speed up fairly quickly into the curve, sometimes even before I reach the apex of the curve. It really depends on how far ahead I can look, because that informs me how sharp of a curve it is. I enjoy riding so much that I hope to be doing this for a long time. And the way to ensure that is to make sure that I do it safely, right? That I don't get injured. So I know that I still have a lot of stuff to work on. A lot of it is, knowing what you're supposed to do is different than actually doing it. So I'm working on developing these skills into habits. Practice makes habit, right? So I'm hoping to develop really good, safe riding habits. And I really welcome more experienced riders. If you see something that I'm not doing the best way, please send me a note, let me know. I welcome your input. I would love to try out different things to see what works for me, because we're all different. But I like to know what works for you, and if you see something that I'm doing that may not be the best in your experience, let me know. I would love to try out a different way of doing things to find what is most comfortable for me. Thanks so much for joining me on my Ryker adventure. I invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you get more videos as they come out. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thanks. Ride safe.